All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Twisted Pair. We have got a good show lined up for you guys. We're also trying something different and new tonight. That we're actually multicasting to Instagram too. So we're here on Facebook and YouTube, and we're also out on Instagram. And I think, yeah, this. Oh, it's going really slow. Huh, there we go. But yeah, we're there. So um, our hearts and prayers are still going out for Red, Ash Red. Since our last show, she did lose her father. Uh, he went peacefully, as far as I understand, but we're giving her some time for really making sure that everything's taken care of and grieving. So everybody, give your keep her in your thoughts and prayers and put some smoke up for her. So we've got a group of people here. I mean, I can't remember the last time that we've had a house full of people here. So I want to welcome everybody in, and I want to welcome our guest. So we have, and then on my screen, catty corner down from me, we have got Cooper. And then next to him, we've got Brianna. And then above Cooper, on my screen at least, we've got Morgan. What our topic tonight is all around the new smoker. We have talked a lot over the past couple of years about how Red and I, we pair cigars, we get different types of notes into cigars, in different whiskeys and such. But for the new smoker, a lot of times what we get, they're not. And so this idea for the show actually came from these three. So for those who don't remember, Morgan is my daughter, Cooper is her husband, and Bree is their best friend, my bonus daughter. So this is a family show. So welcome, guys. Glad you can join us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
All right. So as we get into this, everybody, hey there, Cigar Apostle. How you doing, buddy? As we get into this, please let us know what you're smoking, what you're pairing, if you're pairing anything, what you're smoking in the chat here. I will try to get to you guys as soon as I can. But I've asked that Cooper and Bree both smoke the same cigar that I am smoking on this. And we're not going to be really going into a pairing because I wanted to really talk about the notes and I wanted to hear what their thoughts are on this cigar and just show how the progression. So Bree's going to talk a little bit about her journey into cigars, and Cooper's going to talk about his. Morgan is not a cigar smoker, but we'll talk with her a little bit about what it's like being a non-cigar smoker and experiencing some of these things. Hey, Joe. Yeah, I apologize that there's a light echo. There's not really anything we can do about it because we have to be in close proximity of each other. So I do apologize for that. We are smoking, what we're smoking is the Connecticut by the Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut by Espinosa. So, what are you guys smoking? Apostle, what are you smoking? Joe, what are you smoking tonight? Let us know while we light these babies up. So Bree, you're the youngest smoker in this group. I'm going to start off with you. This question is to both of you, but I want to start off with you. Uh, Morgan, I'm going to mute your mic. And so, you guys, if you can, mute your mics and unmute them as we come in. Maybe that'll help out with the echo.
Okay.
Uh, Bree, talk to us a little bit about how you got into cigars. What was that like? I mean, what made you think of like, oh, I'm gonna try a cigar and then really get into it?
Just kind of being around it mostly. Like I came up to the UG with y'all a whole lot. I was just like, okay, maybe I kind of want to try that. I was given another 2 years before I ever thought about smoking a cigar. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I don't know if I'm ever gonna use it though. But then from there I just kind of started thinking like, maybe. So
What was your first cigar you smoked? If you don't
mm,
remember, that's fine.
I don't know. I just walked up to it was either you or Cooper and we're like, hey, I want to try that. Can I try that? I don't remember what it was though.
Cooper, what about you? How did you what got you into cigars?
I think just being around it. Uh, my dad smoked cigars. You smoke cigars, and I don't know. I just wanted to try it, see how it was, and see what it was all about. And I've liked it so far.
Do you remember what your first cigar was?
I think it was either a McAuliffe or the Sergeant. It was one of those, I think.
I'm trying to remember what Bree's was. And Bree, I did mute you, so I'm trying to remember what Bree's was. I want to say that it was a toasted marshmallow.
It was
It
it
might
was a
have been
toasted
that.
marshmallow because that's what I
Okay.
was smoking when that's what I was smoking when we were here when when there was a big get together over here and
Yeah,
she
because it
wanted to
was for
try it.
the Texas Cigar Roadshow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
I couldn't remember if it was that, a Sweet Jane, or a McAuliffe experience.
it's whatever I was smoking because you tried it before I smoked it.
Yeah.
That was the toasted marshmallow.
Yeah,
I remember that because then you went out and talked to Lauren and Terry Lynn and such about
yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
And they were so excited. It's like, yay, we got another girl smoking cigars.
Yep.
Your very first cigar. Think about back to the time when, and this is for both of you, when you smoked your very first cigar. How was that experience? What went through your minds? What were you facing? What was it like?
For me, the entire time I was smoking it, I kept thinking to myself, "Don't inhale, don't inhale, don't inhale," the entire time. And for the first like 30 minutes, I just coughed like nonstop because I kept inhaling. Um, and all I got with it was like pepper and heat. That's all it was.
Pepper and heat. So basically, it sounds like you talked yourself into inhaling because you kept on saying, "Don't inhale, don't inhale, don't inhale."
Pretty much. It sucked.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at with it. I don't inhale until I'm thinking about not inhaling most of the time, or if I'm talking and just breathe in the middle of a sentence. But um, the first time I smoked anything, at first I was kind of sitting there like, okay, why do people enjoy this? Like, what is the point? This kind of sucks because it just felt like pouring fire down the back of my throat. Like it was not a great time.
So not a great time at all.
No, like there were bits of it that wasn't awful. I don't remember anything other than it just being like really hot. So I was like, what is the point? And then I was like, okay, I'll keep trying and maybe it'll get better at some point because a lot of people enjoy this. There has to be something to it.
So do you think that's what got you to smoke that second one? Was
Yeah.
okay, there's got to be something to this, so I'm going to keep on trying until I figure it out.
Yeah.
What, Cooper, if you've spent, the entire time, smoking and basically half hacking up, because I remember that, you're hacking up your lungs for the next 30 to 45 minutes afterwards. You you wanted another one.
I think it was a mix of like that was something I could do to spend time with you, but also like I didn't want to just like be one and done. I actually wanted to give it a good effort try, and I knew like starting out I wouldn't like it, but I pushed through the first dozen, maybe dozen and a half cigars, and like I'm what 4 years in, and I've still sometimes I still inhale, and sometimes I pick up a new cigar and like all I get is fire or that peppery.
Hmm.
But now I'm just now starting to develop my palate and like genuinely starting to enjoy it.
Very good. I want to kind of shift gears here a little bit, and I'm going to go to Morgan because, Morgan being my daughter, she's been around me since the Leap and Grain Society began. She's basically been next to me throughout my personal entire journey into this whole cigar tasting, growing my palate, and pairings and such. So, Morgan, my question to you is, from someone who's not smoking, doesn't smoke cigars. You've never smoked a cigar. What really went through your mind when I told you, oh, I'm building a business with Red and with Spice Man, and it's going to be all around smoking cigars and pairing cigars with whiskeys and wines? What was that like for you?
My initial thought was why? Why do we need a whole business about smoking cigars when it's not like it's just hot in your mouth, right? I don't understand how you can smoke this cigar and say, "Oh, I get these notes from it," but you smoke this cigar and you get different things from it. So I didn't understand how you would take a cigar and then pair it with something else. And like wine and whiskeys also just taste like alcohol to me. And so I didn't really know that with why you would pair hot with alcohol, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, because it does make sense because you've got hot from the tobacco. I mean, because I mean, really, it is. I mean, it's something that there's a fire inside there, and then you've got the heat from the ethanol of the alcohol. I could see where you would where that would come, from that. What I'm saying with you, Morgan, for just a second here on this, because I'm curious, as you saw this grow and you saw, because you were at the very first NFG that we did, you were at the very first, you've been to a couple of different events, you've helped me out with the NFG, festivals and such. As you saw it grow, did your opinion like change a little bit, or to where you see that there is something to this?
Um, I think ever so slightly. I really enjoy listening to you guys talk about cigars and talk about pairings. When you guys first started the show, I was very invested in like what you and Red would have to say about different pairings. I remember one show y'all paired it with candy, and when I came up with the idea, y'all were like, "Why? Why would we do that? Absolutely not." And then Red paired it with like some sour candy, and it ended up being a really great show, and it was funny to watch. And then like, um,
I remember that. We still talk about, to this day, 4 years later, we still talk about that pairing.
it was it was a good one. I very much enjoyed eating the candy after you guys finished the show.
Hmm.
Um, and then I love NFG not because I mean I don't like it for the reason why, the people who go to NFG does, but I love talking to the different cigar brands and seeing what they would like, what they have to say, and just listening to what other people have to say about it, because I hear it all the time with my dad and then my husband and now my best friend. I'm always up here at Underground.
Oh
And
yeah.
so and so it's fun seeing different people from all over the place come in to NFG, and like their family. You don't come up to Underground and not be friends with these people and make a family relationship with these people. And so, like this past NFG, I missed, and I heard all about it. How everybody missed Morgan, and so,
Oh yeah.
and so it's cool just knowing that I've left an impact on these people, and then they've left an impact on my heart, even though I don't smoke cigars.
I mean, you've since you've kind of grown up with this, you've heard me say, and we've all heard Red say. We both have said this a million and one times. You don't have to be a smoker to be a part of the community. We do have a question from Apostle that I want to bring up here. Um, this is for both you and Bree, you and Cooper here. Does does smoking a cigar feel kind of taboo to you?
I think at first it did until I realized the amount of people in the community that like cigar smoking is a lot more common than what some people think. And the amount of networking that I've done and uh, just by sitting around at the UG smoking a cigar, and like someone random will walk up and we'll just get in a conversation about life, and the amount of networking and like bonds that I've made in the past 4 years just by having a cigar in my hand has it's been astronomical.
What about you, Bree?
Um, yeah, I think in a lot of ways it still kind of does. Um, I especially coming from, so I was raised like very traditional Southern Baptist, no alcohol, no smoking of any kind, like nothing. So coming into this community, I felt very hesitant. Like, this is taboo. This feels a little wrong. Like, what are we doing? And then, like, as I've gotten to know the people in the community and be more involved in it, that feeling has kind of subsided. But in some ways, it's still there a little bit.
I can see that. I've been smoking cigars so long now. It's for me. It's just secondhand nature. I'm trying to think back to my first cigar of what that was like. But and I don't think it ever felt taboo because I smoked. My first cigars was with the youth pastor at my church that I was working with, and the other men that were around there smoking it. But I could definitely see it as a woman, Bree. Do you think that adds to that feeling because you are a woman who's smoking a cigar?
Um, I think I think it does. There's a lot of um like pressure, even socially, like where it is more prominent. It's mainly prominent among men. But knowing women like Red and Terry Lynn and Coper, Lauren Coper, who are like in the community and like Lauren works in it, and just knowing these people and having women that are established in the community kind of helps that feeling more.
That's interesting. It's interesting. And what's interesting about it is that I recognize that taboo exists. And there, even today, in my writers group Discord, one of the members was talking to me about cigars, and another member said out to her, "What, girl, you smoke cigars?" And she goes, "Yeah, I enjoy it." So even then, there's still a kind of that shock that a woman would smoke cigars. But when you go back, you know, centuries ago, back into the 1700s, 1600s, and 1800s, women, that's what they did. The whole reason why we have cigar bans on cigars is because the affluent, the aristocrats in Europe, the women who smoked cigars and were one of the predominant smokers, wore white gloves back during that time, and they didn't want the oils from the tobacco transferring over to their white gloves. And so they asked for something to be put on there. Well, lo and behold, we have bans. So women have absolutely influenced the cigars. And when you go down to the factories, women are predominantly the ones who work at the factories because of a woman's attention to detail and being able to pick up minute differences in texture and minute differences in color that we as men we just can't pick up as great as women does. So it's interesting that that taboo still exists. But I mean, that taboo exists in the whiskey industry too.
Yeah, and it's interesting how like women influence the community so heavily, but it's still not like if you're told, give me a picture of the perfect like lady, what a gentle lady does. Cigar smoking probably would not be in that picture very often. So it is just a strange time.
No, I agree. So, what do you guys think about the cigars that we're smoking right now? So we're all smoking the same cigar. This is the Knuckle Sandwich uh, by Espinosa. This is the Guy Ferrari, who's very famous chef, uh, Food Network personality. He's the one that actually took part in the blendings of these cigars, and they're his cigars. So, what is your thoughts? What are your thoughts about the cigar?
Um, I'm glad you brought it up because I'm just not entering the second third, so I was gonna ask you to bring it up so that we could talk about it before I enter the second third. But so far, I like it. Um, like I said earlier, I'm just now building my palate, so when I right as I take a draw, I can feel that the peppery bitter on the tip of my tongue. But as the smoke sits in my mouth a little bit, I want to say I pick up like a earthy, nutty tone,
Hmm.
and more so on like not necessarily like the sweet, but like on the savory portion of it, and it's really nice. I really like it.
So, Ray, what are your thoughts? And I love the expression on your face when he say kind of a earthy, nutty note to it. The expression on your face was priceless.
Yep. I'm sorry if my mouth don't say it, my face will. But I don't I don't taste any of that. I don't I like it. It's not the most mild cigar I've ever smoked, but it's not like super strong either. Other than that, I don't know what I think about it. I like it, but I couldn't tell you why I like it because I don't. It's just hot.
And honestly, that's very fair. From my experience in working with smokers, it usually takes about a year or two before you really start getting to be able to discern your palate and being able to pick up flavors. Because I mean, honestly, you're smoking tobacco. You have something that's got heat to it that's coming into your palate. It is a different feeling to have smoke and just hold it into the cavity of our mouth and just feel it there, which you have to start picking up flavors because it's got to get into your olfactories and hit your taste buds and such. So I that's a perfectly normal expression and understanding. And Cooper said you've been smoking cigars for what 3 4 years now, Cooper?
Yeah, because I started, yeah, about about 4-ish years, I think. But I think for Bree, I think you also we don't really smoke them consistently. So
True.
I think if we do it, like when I first started smoking, we did it like I almost did it like there was some weeks we did it every day, every morning. So I've
Yeah.
had like multiple like spans of smoking where I can actually develop that palate versus you have one or two, maybe three in a sitting, and then we go like a month without smoking. And
That
then
makes
you
sense.
have another one or two, and then another month, 2 months without smoking, and then we like sit down for another one. So I think if we did it more consistently, you would be able to develop the palate more
Yeah.
like more consistently without like dropping it.
That makes
Yeah,
sense because
that makes
I'm pretty sure I had my first one about NFG time, like right before NFG, and I don't think I've had 20 yet.
Yeah, and that was
no.
February.
Yeah. That was yeah back in February, March when you had that. I want
Yeah.
to take a little pause here because we've got a couple of questions that I want to address from Sneed time. I think I apologize if I butcher your name. Uh, I like what he said. This is back when we were talking about does it feel taboo, and he says I got to show this to everybody because this is funny. So first, we answered this question here: does it feel taboo? And we've already answered that one. And then he comes in with this: only when I feel it with weed. Now that would feel really taboo,
Yeah.
especially if you're in a location where that's not legal. I get that. No, none of these that we have here have weed in them. And my heart would be broken if anybody did cut open any of these to roll a blunt in it. Sorry, YouTube, Facebook, please don't turn me off of that. It was a joke. Um, but this is an interesting question. How does the flavor differ from other cigars? So I'm gonna no, you're all good. You're all good, Sneed. You're all good, buddy. Um, how I'm gonna pose this to you, Cooper, because I can answer the question and I will give the technical answer to the question and such like that. But as you smoke different cigars, and you've said that your palate is starting to begin to form, are you able to be able to pick up, say, like different flavors or nuances of flavors from one cigar to another now?
Sort of. So I'm really big into trying new things. So like I've tried like vanilla and chocolate cigars, but I've also tried like the sugar tipped ones.
Hmm.
But other than those, I can't really start differentiating them until I get past the first third. In the first third, right now, all cigars taste the same. I get all the same notes in the first third, basically across the board. There are some different ones, like some ones that stand out, like the toasted marshmallow and some Macalus. I can sort of get the broader tones, like the earthy tones, and those. It, it's harder for me to get the like the more direct tastes, like the nutty and like savory and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm trying to picture y'all's leaf and grain wheel in my head to
I
figure out
was just thinking about that. I was like,
like where it all goes because I was given that when I first started smoking
yeah,
cigars. So I've been trying to build my palate off of that wheel because I can like taste the flavor, and looking at the wheel I can kind of sort of pinpoint where that goes. I wish
right.
we had some so I can like look at it.
I wish I would have thought to print that out, but that means that I would have had to bring the printer up and get it set up, and I forgot completely about that. Uh, Bree, one of the things that you had mentioned is that when you first started smoking cigars, it was just all the burn. It's just all the heat and the burn. Now that you have smoked a different, a couple of different ones, do you do you think that you're able to, and it's fine if you're not, but that you're able to pick up a difference between, like you said, that like this one is a little bit stronger, but it's not as strong as others that you've smoked. What is that difference that you think that you're able to pick up on that?
Um, Honestly, mostly the difference for me is like how it makes me feel physically. Like the stronger it is, the more it feels like it sits on my chest,
Hmm.
and almost like the tobacco hits me harder. I get like a little lightheaded a little faster. Um, and it's just like I don't know really how to explain that, like how it tastes differently. Um, some of the like ones that I think more mild, they taste a little less like spicy. They still have that heat, but it doesn't feel like as much of a bite behind it. Where sometimes like the less mild ones do. Like they kind of have a bite behind them.
Okay, no, I can see what you're talking about, and that makes sense too because your what we call your stronger or your bolder cigars, the tobacco is going to feel a little bit heavier, or it's going to feel a little bit stronger, especially in what we call a full body cigar, where the smoke is a heavier output, so it feels differently on your palate.
I think it
Yeah.
also for me, it's in order for me to like differentiate the different tobaccos, um, I have to have something in my stomach when I smoke, because if I smoke on an empty stomach, like a cigar or two and it feels like I'm floating on air. I feel like very light and very fuzzy. Um, it kind of feels like when you drink on an empty stomach, like it feels like it hits you really fast. But like while all y'all saw I was eating, I just ate something. So I wanted to have something in my stomach so I could get a better feel for the cigar.
Hmm.
And for the most part, I can sort of differentiate like a thick, like a stronger cigar, like the actual color of it when it's darker. I can feel like it's in your face, and then as it gets lighter, it feels easier. If that makes sense.
That makes sense, and a lot of times what that could also be is is the age of that tobacco as well. One of the things that I haven't introduced you to is a cigar that has some age to it. And so the age of the tobacco is going to play a big part of it. The younger the tobacco is, the stronger the nicotine content is going to be in that cigar, and that's what you're feeling. To where you're feeling that weightness, that tingliness on your, and it feels differently on your in your palate, and you're feeling the kind of like that emptiness, that lightheadedness, feeling, on an empty stomach. That's that nicotine coming in. We got to, you know, there's more nicotine in one of these cigars than there is in a pack of cigarettes. But you guys being new smokers, and having smoked, a cigar, have you ever felt the need like, oh, I've got to go and have a cigars, to get that nicotine feel?
No, not for that feel at all. I think like there have been a couple times where like I've noticed having a cigar kind of makes me slow down. Um, so if I'm feeling like sometimes if I'm feeling like really anxious or really busy or like everything's going fast, part of me just kind of goes, a cigar would be nice so that I have the time to just kind of slow down. But there's never been like a I need a cigar.
Not like a cigarette smoker. What about you, Cooper?
I think I want to. I think I agree with Bree. It hasn't ever been the need where like I'm like craving a cigar, but I know if I were to have a cigar, it would like slow everything down. I know I would like calm myself, but also I know it's different from a cigarette. I can't just suck down a cigar. Like I'm gonna be sitting for 30 minutes to an hour, like enjoying it and not just sucking it down because I need it.
Yeah, and that time is what I mean when I say like slowing down. Because it's not for me so much like all the extra feelings, but it's like the same kind of slowing down as if I'm gonna like go sketch for a while or something like that. Like it
Right.
feels the same, like taking the time.
It forces you to slow down because, as to Cooper's point, you can't just sit there and you know plow through a cigar. I mean, as we were getting these cigars, how long did I tell you that this would be a smoke for?
Hour and a half, somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
yeah, hour and a half typically. Now I've got friends who can sit down with this is a Churchill size, who can sit down with a Churchill and smoke it in 15, 20
Yeah.
minutes.
I've when I first started smoking, I would get a big one and I would go through it pretty quick, and I would feel like sick to my stomach.
Hmm.
Um, but like we're almost 40 minutes in. I'm about halfway through my cigar.
Yeah, I'm doing a bit more talking because
Yeah.
I'm the host of the show. But for those of you who have watched the Texas Cigar Roadshow and you guys have been there as we've recorded it, uh, David always teases me because he smokes his through his faster than I am. Well, when I'm on the show, I'm doing a little bit more talking than it. So, but yeah, it does slow you down. And I remember when I was going to see a counselor, one of my counselors said, whatever you do, don't stop smoking because you're calmer. You have a calmer aspect to you because it does slow you down. Um, it's nighttime. You're going to have to come on more of these episodes, more of these shows, because you're bringing out some great comments, and I really appreciate that. As a non-cigar smoker, I imagine you can put the tobacco on a scale of mildness and freshness to, yeah, we when we're talking about cigars, we're talking about body strength of a cigar, um, flavor of a cigar. All of those come into it, and it has to do with the tobacco, where the tobacco grows from on it. How young the tobacco is, age, just like a wine. The more it ages, the better that it gets. So no, keep keep coming with those questions, and you were right on with that one.
I also can tell sort of by like when I take it out of the the wrapper, like the more yellow the wrapper is, I've been told like that's a good cigar
Hmm.
because it's been sitting there for a while. Like this one, like it's kind of yellow, but it's still pretty clear. But I have had some of my humidor that like have been so yellow, like it's almost like transparent. It's not even clear. You like have to focus on to see through it. And I've smoked those, and like I can get the flavors out of it easier than if it was just plain clear because it's been sitting there a little bit longer.
Yeah, what that's doing. So the way a cigar is that the oils of the tobacco sit in the filler, in the center of it, and the longer that it ages, longer that it rests. And so you hear us a lot of times of where someone will say, "Oh, this cigar was bitter," or "This cigar was just it kind of turned my stomach a little bit." We'll say, "Well, let that rest for a while in your humidor." That's letting those oils spread out, and as those oils spread out and come out to the wrapper. I mean, I know all of you have heard me say that this wrapper's got a nice oily sheen to it. That's those oils that are coming out, and so that cellophane um, is a food based product, and so that oil is coming into that cellophane and it's soaking that up. And so when you get to it to where it's a deep amber, almost like a mahogany wood type amber, that cigar's got some good age to it, some 3 to 5 plus type years of age to it. And that's where those oils are just really nice and saturated within the tobacco, and makes the flavors come out even stronger.
Yeah. I can't tell the difference yet, like in the flavors on whether it's like whether the cellophane's clear or whether it's amber. I've just also been told that hey, it's a really like it's a nice cigar if the cellophane turns amber when you take it out and twist it. I like the color. I think it's cool if it's amber, but it doesn't. I have not noticed a difference on my palate.
Yeah, that will come in time. So you mentioned how you were getting earthy notes with it, a little bit of nutty, little bit of with like a little bit of a sweetness to it as well.
Yeah.
I pick up the same thing. It reminds me of graham crackers. So
Yeah, I can kind of see that. It's not as sweet to me. It's more on the nuttier side. Like
yeah,
now that I'm in the second third, that peppery has gone away. Like I can feel it for like a half a second when I take a draw on the tip of my tongue, but I don't really. It's not overpowering the other
gotcha,
flavors, and
gotcha.
that's the issue that I had when I was developing mine. Like those other flavors were there, but it was hard to pick them out because the pepper was overpowering everything. So everything I smoked was pepper. It was either kind of pepper, really peppery, or spicy pepper.
Yeah.
So like all of that, it was it was hard to differentiate the different flavors. But now that I've smoked more often and I've started to somewhat develop my palate, it I can kind of not forget about the pepper, but like see through it a little bit
Hmm.
and pick up those flavors on the back end of my draw, rather than like when I get towards the end of my cigar, I can now pick up those flavors on the front end of that draw.
No, absolutely. And I remember one of your first cigars that you smoked with me because you wanted to try one was Osak's Carboncito, and it's a little cigar because you wanted something, and I
Yeah,
said this is an ass kicker, and you cracked up when I told you what the Carboncito means. It means little fucker,
it was a good cigar though.
and it is an absolute pepper bomb. That cigar in the morning with coffee, if you remember, because we were drinking coffee out
Yeah,
on the balcony. I mean, it gets you going.
yeah. I think
It,
I think that's what I miss about smoking the cigars in the morning. Like when we did that, especially with our morning coffee, I was more I was more I was more there, if that makes sense.
yeah,
I wasn't groggy throughout the day. I felt more like relaxed throughout the day. It was a good way to start. It was a good way to start, but there was also some days where we smoked a cigar in the morning and then that same evening. So it was a good way to start and end the day.
it's one of my favorite pastimes. We've got some we've got some other good comments here. One, Sinead, I'm glad that you did tune in. I'm glad that it came up on your algorithm. That's pretty cool because it's not usually that we come up on people's algorithms, especially on YouTube. Uh, Cigarette smokers, this says always want the freshest. You're right. That is true. That where cigarette smokers want the freshest, and that's because of all the other chemicals that are added into cigarettes. Really, truthfully, think of cigar tobacco in the same way that we would think of wine grapes. Okay, so that's when the more age that that a vine has, your grapevines have, the better those grapes are, and the better the flavors of that grape is for that wine. Also, as a wine ages longer, the flavors become more prominent, and what we call the tannins in a wine uh, becomes lesser. It's more subdued, and so that same thing applies to tobacco and cigars.
I think
Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
the freshest, that comment right there. My mom is a chain smoker, and um, when I one time I asked her why she um, shakes the box before she opens it and likes a cigarette. She always makes the jokes that she has to wake up the cancer, so she has to shake up the chemicals basically.
Uh-huh.
And in my experience, being at the cigar lounge, I've never seen someone shake a cigar before they smoke it.
The only
So
time the,
I think saying the freshest. I that's what I thought about when you made that comment of my mom just shaking her a cigarette box before she opened it.
when I smoked cigarettes, I would take it and
Yeah,
pack
that's what
it.
she
Yeah,
does.
yeah. You're packing the tobacco so that way that the combustion, is better and
You're waking up.
it burns
You're
better.
waking up the chemicals in the
You're
cancer.
waking up the chemicals. Yeah.
That's what.
The only time I shake a cigar is you guys have probably seen me where I light a cigar and I don't hot light my cigar. To where I put it up to my mouth, light it, and I draw it in because what that does is all I'm getting is that char
Yeah,
initially. And but what I'll do is as I'm lighting the cigar, is that I'll do this number here. And what that is that's getting that airflow coming through. So it's allowing the cherry the of the cigar kind of spread out a little bit so that the tobacco burns more evenly, not just in that center.
yeah, and I think I used to hot light with my torch, and now I use a soft flame now. I use a soft flame lighter.
Hmm.
Like I said earlier, I'm really big into uh, trying new things. So I used to just use
Torches.
torches, but now I'm trying to transition to using just soft flames, and I will hot light with a soft flame, and it doesn't. I don't get that charring um, taste. And I've even tried the McAuliffe cigar matches, and I don't like matches because I always find a way to snap it in half. But I think using a soft flame, I think I can control the burn better, but also I can be more deliberate on how I touch it up than versus a
Hmm.
torch because it's not as the flame and the heat isn't as much in your face.
Right.
And like my cigar is like itty bitty, I can use a soft flame, and I'm not. I doesn't feel like I'm burning my eyebrows off my face.
I get that. I get that.
But I I I use my torch sometimes, but I've tried to strictly use my soft flame lighter now.
All right, so Joe says yes, absolutely, an effective way to light your cigars. Yes, thank you. I remember teaching you about lighting the cigars, Joe, and stopping to no longer hot lighting it. Snake time, you don't want to roll your cigars on across the table to loosen it up. We want the right amount of um, we want the tobacco in that filler to have that right amount of compression in there so that it can burn and it can combust because otherwise we'll get to where the center of the cigar will be too squishy and there's too many air pockets, so we don't want to create more air pockets. Yeah, I know what you meant. um, So Cooper's using a soft flame. Brianna has a torch, and I have a torch as well. So Bri, what is now that we're you're getting into the second third of your cigar. Have you noticed how the is it any different from when you first lit it?
Not much. Um, there's not like a marked enough difference that I can be like, oh yeah, here's how it changed. Um, like there is a little bit of a difference, but I don't know how to explain that difference. It's like a very little bitty difference.
Okay, that's fair. One of the other questions that he had asked, that's Need Time had asked is, does more money mean a better cigar? And yes, it can, but not necessarily. Just like with a whiskey, bottom shelf whiskeys. I mean, I've introduced you to a number of what we would call bottom shelf whiskeys, low dollar whiskeys that are very enjoyable. Just because this cigar is a $15 cigar doesn't necessarily mean that it's that much better than an $8 cigar. Uh, and I don't typically talk about prices of cigars because that is one of the key words that YouTube doesn't like and has kicked me kicked me off of them. Um, but the dollar value of what a cigar costs doesn't immediately equate to a better cigar. I smoked $100 cigar that was crap.
Yeah, I've been given some uh higher dollar cigars, and I mean they've been okay, but for the most part, like staying on the lower end of things, especially like in my budget, like even just coming to like the underground and buying a house blend, the house blends they're good. Like for what they cost, they're good, and I think they're like nine, maybe something like that,
Yeah.
and they're good. And I've had some like 30s or 40s, and I I usually don't see when I'm giving a cigar unless the person giving it tells me the dollar amount of it. I treat them all as they're on the same level. I
Mhm.
don't categorize them as okay, this one was this much, it should be better. It's I don't know the price of it, so I'm just going to compare it to all the other cigars I've had. And
Yeah.
that's how I compare the cigars because number one, if I really like the cigar, I don't want to know how much it was because I want to enjoy it again. And if it's too much that I can't justify buying for an hour and a half, sit down, like relax, I won't do it. But there's some that I've had have that I've that I have bought that are definitely under that $15 and have been amazing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Does I mean, here you are smoking a $15 cigar, which I think is one of the highest dollar value cigars that you smoked now, Bree. Does the dollar value make you? Are you able to tell the difference with it?
No, no, I don't. There's not much of a difference really that I can tell. Like, I'm sure there is a difference somewhere, but I think it also has to do with like how it's made and like the ingredients that go into it more than like what the price point they're putting on it is.
No, that makes sense. And usually, what causes a cigar to be a higher dollar value, especially when we get up into that, that 25, $30 plus dollar range. Usually, tobacco, we have grade A, grade B, and grade C, first priming, second primings of cigars. And so uh, the the better the tobacco, the higher the cost point that is going to be. But you brought up something that was great point there, Bree, is that the type of the tobacco is in it plays more to do has more to do with the flavors and how it smokes rather than rather than the cost value of it. If you can I've had blends from some manufacturers where it's like, okay, this blend just does not work. I'm not going to mention the name, but there's a cigar manufacturer that I can't smoke their cigars because every time I smoke their cigars, what I'm getting out of is soap. I get soap out of it. I don't enjoy that. I know other people that smoked that cigar and just absolutely loved it. but I couldn't stand it. Um,
To that point, I had a conversation with, I think it was Taylor about that. Do you have the cilantro drink?
mm-mm. No,
Interesting.
I can taste cilantro,
Okay.
and
Because,
I can taste coriander, which coriander is the seed that cilantro
yes.
is, becomes.
Yeah. I was wondering because that was a conversation Terry Lynn and I had about some cigars and some beers. People with the cilantro gene also have an issue with the way those are made because of similar tastes.
Yes, tastes like flavored soap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to answer his newest comment about the rarity, I've when I've been at the UG or around more experienced smokers, I've pulled cigars that I've been giving out of my humidor, and everyone's like, "Whoa, you have that cigar?" Like I think we were over at someone's house, and I pulled out the animal cracker one, and all y'all were like, "You have that cigar?" And uh, when I was smoking it, like it at first, like I said, like the first third tasted like every other cigar,
Hmm.
but the middle third and the back third, it like I could sort of tell that it tasted different from other cigars that I've had. Like the notes were a lot more defined,
Hmm.
but like I didn't know what it was. I the wrapper was cool.
That
And like when I look through my humidor to see what I want to smoke, typically if I don't know what I'm smoking, I'll look for the
for
coolest
the
brand.
coolest rapper.
And the animal cracker one looked like drawings and like kind of like a mural type
Yep.
art, and it looked really cool. I think I had two, and I smoked one, and when we played poker, I that was one of the cigars I put in there, and I put it in there, and then when they closed the case for the winners, I was like, I should not have put that in there. It was a good one,
I,
but
I, I,
luckily
rem-
I won and I won it back.
you've got it back.
So
I remember that. I
there
remember
there
that.
have there have been some cigars where like other people have told me that they're not necessarily rare but harder to find.
Hmm.
So I have a separate humidor at home that I keep my like kind of like novelty cigars that like ooh this cigar was good I want to keep it like
Yeah.
um when like chef's foot cancer ones I've smoked half the pack and I was like okay we'll keep the rest of them for like when I want a really good smoke I'll smoke one.
Good,
Yeah.
because I don't think I have any more of those.
And like I have one of your leaf and grain ones. I have one of your leaf
Uh,
and grain cigars. I smoked a couple um and I was like, "Ooh, these are really good." So I want to keep one for like later.
I haven't necessarily experienced rarity in that way. Most of the time, like the ways that I've experienced like rarity isn't necessarily that it's a rare cigar, it's just I'm looking in the wrong places for it. Um, like I'm really interested in trying like an infused cigar with like different flavors. And sometimes those are harder to find based on where you're looking. Not
mhm.
necessarily that they're rare, but that I'm not going to find them if I walk into like the UG because they don't sell them here.
Yeah, and we've looked at like Total Wine because I know you've been really looking for the like the orange flavors.
Right. Right.
And like we found like vanilla and like coffee and sugar and like vanilla like you even found you that grape one.
Yeah.
But you have to know where to look in order to find certain ones. Like my favorite cigar I've smoked is the Sergeant, and I think we had to ask a bunch of people to where that cigar was, and it's like one cigar shop in all of DFW that has it.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's when it comes to rarity, you really got two types of rarity. You got the rarity on the cigar itself, like that animal cracker one, and then the toasted marshmallow one that you like and that you've smoked. Though the animal cracker is rare because you just can't get it anymore. They don't make it anymore. like a lot of the NFG festival ones. Once they're gone from NFG, they don't come back like the
Yeah, and I have a few of those in my like novelties humidors
yeah.
because I want to keep them.
I've got some in here that are rare because they're like exclusive that were made for NFG back in 2017, 2016, 2018. Back in that, you can't find those anymore. So you got that type of rarity. Then you've got the type of rarity of the tobacco leaf itself, to where, so say like the media tempo, which is in your tobacco plant. That's the very very top budding of the plant, and not all plants will bud those because they've already harvested those, and so they don't have the chance to be able to form those. It's a very rare leaf. It's a very hard leaf to work with, so not many people will use that, and that will end up it being in your very high dollar cigars. Like the Opus X's, the God of Fires. And we're talking $30 plus. For these cigars. So you've got that type of rarity. Couple of other comments that coming in here. Guy Ferrari uses the tobacco that he uses was made at AJ Fernandez. AJ Fernandez is one of the top blenders that there is, and he made the original ones for Guy Ferrari in these. Now Sneed is doing he's just sitting there doing
Yeah,
some researching on this, so it's like really
this is
good.
the
He's
type of stuff that you and Red would be talking about right by now, like the
yes,
blend and the fillers and like the leaf and everything. Like that's way over my head right now. I have no idea what all that means. But I
I
just know the
only,
cigar tastes good.
yeah, I only pretend I don't know it personally. I know it from like listening to conversations. I have no idea how it affects a cigar, but like it's interesting to learn about and talk about. I just
Yeah,
cool.
when I first started listening to the show, I started listening to like Red and Graybeard talk about like the filler. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense why I would get those notes from that. But like, I have no idea what any of that means.
yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it's when you get more into it and you really start developing your palate so that you can start picking up these notes and using that notes wheel that we
We'll have to
put
get Bree
together.
one of those.
Yeah, we need to get one. We need to get the printer upstairs and set up so that we can actually print these out. Um, so Sneak Time said, picking up tasting notes that include leather, which is an earthy. So you played sports. You've got what we call that sweet leather. So if you've ever had like a baseball glove and you sit there and the little strings from where the leather straps are in it, and tie it up, and you sit there and bored out there in right field because nobody's hitting the ball to you, and you've got that leather sitting there and you're just sucking on it because it has a nice sweet note to it. That's a sweet leathery type note as opposed to a rawhide type leather where it's just much more earthy, but it doesn't have that sweet note, or an uncured leather. Those are different types of leather notes that we can absolutely pick up in this. For me, I would not say if it's leather, I would say it's probably a little bit more towards a rawhide leather for me. The earthy notes that I'm getting out of this outside of that graham cracker is what I call a dusty trail note. So if you've ever gone hiking, you're going hiking and you're kicking up the dust of the dirt, the trail, and it kind of gets in your palate and your mouth, and it's not an off-putting type note, but that's what it reminds me of. Now, doesn't mean that I'm going out and I'm picking up dirt, and putting them in my mouth to taste it and to get an understanding of what that tastes like. That's just what it reminds me of, and so that's where that type of earthy note comes from. Sneed, I put up our website, leafandgrainsociety.com. You can pick up a lot of what we're talking about here, to where we go in and review cigars. We review whiskeys and wines. We've got our notes wheel out there on the website. You can pick up a lot of this information out there, and even in greater detail than what we're talking. I'm kind of
Okay.
holding off on not going into really technical details on this because this is not about me and what I know. It's about what you guys are experiencing.
I do have a question though about like the technical thing. Like you're mentioning that there's notes of leather and stuff.
Hmm.
Where I understand the science of how like a stone fruit flavor comes from where the plant is grown, like what it's grown around. How
Hmm.
does leather come in? Like where does that flavor come from?
Leather is actually a natural note from the tobacco itself. So you've heard me mention that in tasting whiskey, if someone comes back and says, on a bourbon specifically, oh, I'm getting a lot of caramel, I'm getting a lot of vanilla notes out of this. My comment back, I don't say because it would be a really smart ass comment, but my comment back to them would be, good, I'm glad, because those are default notes that you're going to get out of a bourbon,
Okay.
because the caramel is coming from the charredness of the wood that creates a caramel kind of sugary type note, and then the vanilla, that's what we get out of oak. It's that sugary notes that's coming from the oak. Well, when people say that I'm getting a lot of earthy, leathery type notes out of a cigar, it's like, okay, good. You should be getting that because that is a default natural note from the tobacco itself.
Okay.
Where we're getting these other types of notes, there's two ways that you can get it without getting overly technical. There's two ways of really learning your palate. One way that you learn your palate is, if you want to get down into the scientific, is that there's five base chemicals: nitrogen, oxygen, um, carbon. Other. I can't remember all of them because I'm not a science person, but the combination of those different chemicals and what levels of combination will create just about any type of flavor that there is.
I
Where
th-
we Go ahead.
I think um, what helped me out trying to pick out those is, yes, that wheel, but also saving my bands and writing the notes I got from them.
Hmm.
It helped train like the notes that I pick up to, yes, I always get earthy notes, but trying to differentiate what earthy notes I get. Like, yes, I
Yes,
get earthy, but I also get like the nutty of it.
the nutty note
So
of it.
I think keeping your bands, like Leaf and Grain has one. You can get one from Leaf and Grain, and it has a spot for you to glue down your bands, and you write notes on it. And it's easy to do with that pairing wheel to try to figure out what you're getting, and that you can remember based off, like, compare it from cigar to cigar. Like, this cigar from this manufacturer I get this, but this cigar from this manufacturer I get this, and they're close, but they're different at the same time.
Yeah, and that has to do with the tobacco, and so different types of tobacco is going to have natural different types of notes to it. So like he brought up a habano. Habano is an actual type of seed. It is typically has a little bit sweeter notes, a little bit kind of a creamy type note to it. Now we're not smoking habano. This is actually a Connecticut, and we call it a Connecticut because of the color, but also because of it's one of the wrapper is a broadleaf wrapper. So broadleaf is going to have particular types of notes to it. Now, when you talk about the terroir, which you were mentioning, so stone fruit, we pick up stone fruit notes because of the terroir that's in it. I remember I was smoking a cigar, a Providencia cigar, and I was smoking it with the Providencia guys. And I've told you, I know I've told you this. I don't know, Bria, if I've told you this story, but this was a new Vitola that they were releasing of this particular cigar
Mhm.
called the Trinitas. And uh, Jim asked me, he said, what kind of notes are you picking up on this? And I said, I'm getting banana notes out of this. And he looked at me and he's like, there's no way. And he went out, went over to his table, picked one up, lit it up, smoked into it. And he goes, I'll be damned. I'm getting banana notes too. And he goes, that's so crazy. And I said, why is that crazy? And he goes, because where we are growing the Lajero leaves, which is the right under that media tempo leaf, is the very top leaf, is the Lajero. And so it gets the most nutrients from the sun. It's a very thick leaf and it's a very strong in flavors for it. Well, right next to that farm is a banana plantation there in Honduras. And so we're getting cross pollination on it. Well, we get tobacco from Ecuador, so an Ecuadorian cigars like a My Father's. You smoke some My Father's.
Yeah, I'm actually using their lighter right now.
Yeah, we get that tropical fruit note out of that because, well, Ecuador's number one export is banana. There's banana plantations all over the place. We get stone fruit notes out of a lot of Brazilian tobacco because of the way the soil is, the amount of phosphorus and magnesium that's in that soil. So different things. We get the peppery notes out of a lot of Nicaraguan tobacco and that white pepper note and that kind of ashy type note out of it because Nicaragua's got a lot of volcanic soil in there. So that all comes into that. Sneyd, all cigars are organic. All cigars are organic. They're all 100% natural. There's no chemicals added to it whatsoever. I got to admit, I got to bring up Joe. So if you were watching our show last month, where I had Joe Galino on the show with Tiffany on the show, Cigar Girl 84. Joe mentioned his favorite note that he gets out of cigars. That last word, marzipan. That's his favorite note out of cigars that he gets. And I've heard you mention the basil pesto eucalyptus marzipan. That is crazy. The way that we start picking up notes, the best way using that notes wheel is what does it remind us of?
Yeah.
What does it remind us of? Everything that we do in life is going to bring back some kind of memory or it's going to create a memory, right? And Bree, when we came up in here and we were talking to Chef here at Underground Cigars, which thank you to Underground Cigars for allowing us to come here every month for the past year plus, couple years that we've been doing this, for allowing us to host the show here. So really appreciate Underground Cigars, Don and Chef and Kelton and the entire UG team for allowing us. But I mentioned that one of the craziest notes that I've ever read, where a reviewer said, "I'm getting a 3-meat meatloaf with bacon lettuce on it and a sweet honey glaze." Well, no, nobody's going to get that out of a cigar. But what it can be is that he could be getting gamey notes from the meat. Or he could have been picking up, some barbecue type, a sweet barbecue type sauce out of it. And so it reminded him of that dish. So that's why he comes back and says that he get this. I've heard people say, I'm getting key lime pie. No, you're not. But you may be getting that graham cracker. You may be getting that lime type note, that citrus type note that reminds you of that key lime pie. Does that make sense?
Yeah. When I was in high school, I had a history teacher that when we went over certain eras in time, that she would play a certain song and give us a certain flavored piece of gum that we would all study in class and listen to the same thing and taste the same thing. And when we would take the test, we would get the exact same song and the exact same flavor. And she was kind of used as guinea pigs to see like if like the flavor and the music helped us remember things. And um, she said that there's been research about how the things you listen to and the things you taste when you do something are like the two strongest senses to remind you of something.
Hmm.
So there have been many of times where I've smoked cigar and like I can remember something. I'm like, why does this cigar remind me of this? Like this is so random. But then I start trying to pick out the flavors on why I'm remembering it, and I can definitely see smoking a cigar. I'm like, yeah, this tastes like my grandma's three meat leaf meatloaf, or just something random like that because of the certain notes you're picking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had friends in college that would study that way, where if they were studying a specific subject, they would chew a specific type of gum or light a certain type of candle or just something so that they could tie that to a specific scent or flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of music, and Apostle, I'm going to get to you in just a second, but kind of staying on the topic of music. When in every single one of Joe's pairing reviews that he writes, whether it's for the Whiskey Network magazine or whether he writes for us. In fact, we've been editing your article today, Joe. Um, he's always pairing a song with his pairings, and they work together beautifully. When he did the review, did a pairing review of our cigar, the Leaf and Grain Society cigar, and did that with, and I can't remember the song that you chose, Joe, but we he did the article write up in the Whiskey Network magazine. This was before we had started our own magazine. With the Joseph Magnus cigar blend, and he had a song that went with it. And so we're on his show, the Great Lakes Cigar and Pipe Show, going through the review. Red and I were, and he was talking about the song and how it went together with it all, and it makes absolute sense. It's what you're creating those memories that you can then come back and recall on it. I mean, I've had cigars and I've had whiskeys where the buttery notes in it, along with the stone fruit notes of it, reminded me of my grandmother's peach cobbler. And I would go, okay, this reminds me of my grandma's peach cobbler. And then I would go try to dig into it. Well, now I'm getting that bread, that buttery bready type note with that peach note. And that's like, okay, I'm getting buttery bready notes and peach notes out of this. It's that memory that kicks it all off. And that's where that notes wheel helps you kind of drill down into it.
Yeah, and when I first started smoking, I remember you, Red, and Spice Man. We were in Spice Man's backyard, and he was making us steaks.
Hmm.
And that was the first time y'all taught me how to retrohale. And y'all were like, y'all were like, you'll get like all these different notes, like it'll expand your palate. And I did it, and I felt like I was dying. My nose was on fire. But I've used that like when I'm sick and I'm congested, I'm smoking a cigar. I'll retrohale and I'm clear. I'm clear for
Hmm.
days. But when I have retrohaled, I don't do it very often. But when I do it, I can for sure better pick out those notes and go into a more in depth of trying to figure out where the nutty is coming from or where the earthy is coming from and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have only retrohaled on accident, and I won't like I haven't even noticed I've done it until I start coughing. My face turns red, and somebody goes, "You just retrohaled." And I went, "Well,
Was
that
that why you were just
sucked."
coughing?
Yeah.
I figured.
So Joe mentioned this song, and I can't believe I don't remember this because it's only from my favorite band, Big Head Out and the Monsters, and only one of my favorite songs, "Circle." But I should have remembered that was the song that you had paired with it because it's one of my all time favorites. Um, so cigar apostle, he says that you get umami notes. Yes, I've gotten umami notes a lot of times on cigars, and that's where it's really that aged tobacco and getting a lot of that gamey meat with maybe a little bit of type of like a portobello type mushroom type note with it. That's what really reminds me of, brings me to that umami type flavors of it. So when I hear somebody say umami, they're getting some umami out of it. I'm really intrigued on what that cigar is that they're smoking.
I'm on the website and I'm trying to figure out where that pairing wheel is, and I can't find it.
It is oh, I'm trying to remember.
Y'all have redone the website since the last time I was on it.
Yeah, and I've got a new pairing wheel that I put together. That's where I've colored everything in the groups that I
Uh-huh.
need to get up there. I don't have that one up
Okay.
there yet.
You need to post it on there.
I will. I'm going to write
Okay.
up an article on that. Red has asked me about it because people want that pairing wheel. We use that pairing wheel on the Texas Cigar Roadshow.
I think what would be a good idea is while y'all are talking about the flavors and the stuff like that, you bring up another screen to where the viewers can also see it. So as we're talking about it, you can point to it.
I've done that a couple of times. I've had a couple of people come back to me, at least on our show, to where it has been. It seems like it's kind of disruptive to it because it throws us all, like, especially when there's like four of us. It kind of
Yeah.
throws us all out, or people can't see, and so I've kind of avoided doing that. But it is out on the website. I can't remember what menu.
Morgan just found it, so I'm looking at it right now.
If you go to the Leaf Grain Society website, it is under downloads.
Under downloads. Okay.
Your
Go
downloads.
figure.
Like see now as I'm looking at it, I can see the nutty, and I'm pulling up from what I'm getting is more of like the hazelnutty. I think that's what pulling. I think that's what the sweetness is what I'm getting is that
Okay.
hazelnut.
I see it.
I will say about the other, the pairing wheel that he was talking about. It's colored. It's very nice. Me and Brianna helped him put it together. And
Yes.
even as somebody who doesn't smoke cigars, when I look at, like, we chose colors that specifically go with like that category that you would think, oh yeah, like there's, I think there's like a flowers part of it, and it's a brighter color because when you think of flowers, you don't think of dark gloomy colors. And so I think when he posts that, which he's going to post it tonight because I'm going to remind him. Um, um,
You heard it here, folks.
you heard it here. You can hold me to it. I think it'll help, especially like newer people when they're smoking cigars, really be able to like pull out what they're getting out of it.
Yeah, I think that'll help, like, for me too, because I just looked at that wheel and I'm like, I don't know. I'm sure it's probably on here, but I don't know. But I think it'll help me, like, the colors would help visualize that a little more because I can look at something and, like when I think of something spicy, I immediately think, okay, this feels red. And then being able to fall like inside that color, like a cinnamon is like a really bright red. And then
Hmm.
just from there.
Yeah, and when we're talking spices, there's multiple different types of spices too. You've got your cooking spices, which cinnamon falls into that categories, as well as like cardamom cardamom I've mentioned, coriander we've talked about, cumin. Each of those are your different types of cooking spices. Pepper fits into that cooking spice type. And then you have your nightshade type spices, which I've smoked cigars where I've come back. Sorry, mom, I can't answer your phone call right now. Where I've picked up things picked up like more of a nightshade, like a chili pepper, or a jalapeno pepper. And one of the things that we were talking about with Chef when you and I first came in is if you've never had a hazelnut, you're not going to know what a hazelnut is going to taste like as compared to a walnut as opposed to a chestnut and an almond. If you've never experienced that, then yeah, you're not going to pick up where you say hazelnut and somebody else, sitting over here is like going, I don't get that. Why am I not getting that? Well, do you know what a hazelnut tastes like? Do you know what a hazelnut smells like? Well, no, I don't. Well, so you're not going to get that. So that comes into play too. And all of that is about learning your palate and growing your palate, as like what you have said multiple times, Cooper, of wanting to try different things. And this means that you're trying different types of foods, trying, different types of spices, different types of seasonings, different types of drinks, which really start training your palate and being able to associate a flavor that you're getting out of smoke with something that you actually ate, experienced, and so forth.
I think the same thing. Like, yes, you want to grow like your beverage and your food palate, but if you like just smoke one type of cigar, you're not going to grow your palate. Like,
Exactly.
like I smoke a lot of McAuliffes. If I only smoked McAuliffe, I'll be able to differentiate different McAuliffes, but I won't be able to expand my palate to the best of it. Like, I won't be able to do as broad or the best of my ability to expand my palate if I stick to just of what the things I've tried or the things I like. You need to be comfortable trying uncomfortable things.
Very good. I like that. You have to be comfortable with trying uncomfortable things. That's the only way that you learn, you grow, you expand. To your point, I know that you like the McAuliffe red, you like the McAuliffe purple, the blue, and the black, and the colored lines. Well, to that point, if that's all you're smoking, then you're going to be really familiar with the San Andres region of tobacco, but you may not have much experience with Ecuadorian tobacco or the Nicaraguan tobacco unless you're actually trying cigars from those other types of regions as well. Because just like with, I keep coming back to wines, just like with your wines, if all you've ever smoked with in wines is if the only wines that you've ever drank is a white wine, like a Chardonnay or something like that, well, you're not going to know what a Cabernet Sauvignon or a Pinot Noir, your red wines taste like because you haven't experienced that. Well, if you've only drank Cabernets from Napa Valley, but you've never had a Bordeaux blend from France, then you're not going to know the differences of that grape from one region to another. Even though it's the same grape, where it's grown
Right.
has a big difference. Well, the same thing. If you've only ever smoked a Nicaraguan Habano that's out of Jalapa Valley in Nicaragua, but you've never smoked a Habano from Ecuador or from Dominican Republic or Honduras, you're not going to be able to pick up the differences between those because terroir, where it's grown at, has a big part to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, here we are at an hour and a half in here. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I think this has been a very informative show. I hope all of our viewers have enjoyed this. It's been enlightening to me, even though I've been smoking cigars since the early 90s, it's been enlightening to me because it's like I'm kind of experiencing the first time smokers or new smokers again for experiencing that again through y'all's experiences, and so I've appreciated you guys coming on. A couple of announcements. I know that we have mentioned that in our last show excuse me, our last show that our next issue of our magazine was going to come out at the end of August. We are having to push this back a little bit because, when you're busy making plans, life happens.
Yep.
But life happens. I got injured. You know, we've had deaths in the family. We've had a lot of things happen. So we are going to push the magazine back to around mid-September before we release it. It is a great episode. And I'm holding off on answering this one tonight time. I hope that you're still with us on this. You asked about celebrity cigars. Is this the best celebrity cigar that I've ever smoked, or are there better celebrity cigars? That's a challenging one to answer, but I encourage you to read our magazine that will come out in September, because we're going to be talking about that, to where it's all around celebrity, the celebration of, and then how scoring comes into play, and why it is that athletes like to smoke a cigar in celebration of something. So it's all around that. In fact, the cover of it is going to have an NFL superstar on the cover of it, Kevin Williams, who's a retired NFL player, played with the Cowboys for a number of years, has a number of different Super Bowl rings, and he has a cigar called the Hurricane 5, and we're going to be talking about that in the next issue of our magazine. Joe Rogan has a cigar. There's a lot of celebrities that have it. What I like about what Guy Fieri has done, and what Kevin Williams done, and what's a lot of celebrities when it comes to cigars, is that they've actually taken part in creating the cigar. They're not just putting their name on it. We have a lot of celebrity wines and whiskeys and tequilas. They're just putting their name on it. They're just putting their name on it. They're not really taking part of this whiskey blend. It's just like, okay, I like that one. I want to put my name on it. How much money do you need? Type of situation. That's not the case with this cigar. That's not the case with the Hurricane 5. That's not the case with some of the other ones that we're going to be talking about. So, any final comments from you, Cooper, Bree, Morgan?
No, I'm good over here.
Okay. I appreciate all of you coming in. I don't know what our show is going to be on in September. I'm hoping and praying. So again, please keep Ash Red, my co-host, my sister, dear friend, her in your thoughts and prayers, putting some smoke up in the air for her in honor of her father, who she recently lost. Hopefully she will be able to be back next month. So be looking for the show, and hope to see you guys then. Thank you. Good night.